Get my microphone on. First order of business is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof.
I have one, sir. Yeah, the McGinnis drain, E2. Thank you.
Okay, so noted. The minutes from May 19th, was there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, mover and seconder of the minutes. Mover and Serna, on favor, carried. Next, we have a public meeting. So I need a mover and seconder of the public meeting concerning zoning bylaw amendment application of Daniel and Michael Bogart and J. Grant Burks Farms Limited and John Benjamin Burks related to properties located on Part Lot 9, Concession 10, the former township of South Dorchester, being 50260, 50264 Lions Line, be adjourned. That's ahead of it.
That's fine. Oh, that's not fine.
Okay, so
Yeah,
this one.
sorry. Yeah.
All right. Be called to order at 7:31. Whitner and Ublinsky, all in favor, carried. The public meeting is to consider the application of Part Lot 9, Concession 10 from Special Agricultural A2 and Small Lot Agriculture A4 to General Agriculture A1 zone, and part of Lot 9, Concession 10, Part 1 of RP 11 R8266 from Special Agriculture to A2 to Small Lot Agricultural A zone. Alice, can you advise and confirm the method and date of notice, please?
Yes, through your worship, notice was given to all landowners as well as registered parties within the jurisdiction by first-class mail.
Thank you. Adam, are you there?
Yes, I am, your worship.
Okay, can you give us an overview of the application?
Certainly, yes. So through you, if I could direct council and the public to page 23 of the council agenda. Christine has prepared us a visual report map that details what is happening with this zoning bylaw amendment. The left side of the page is a zoomed in portion of the southerly end of the farm where the farm cluster, a previously severed residential lot is, and as well as if you can look at the little blue square area, that's a house that's recently been demolished. The right side of the page shows the full farm property. So it does reach from Lions Line at the south towards all the way to Crossley Hunter Line to the north. This is a housekeeping bylaw amendment, and as stated in the report, a housekeeping amendment can be processed by a municipality for a number of reasons, some of which is to update or modernize certain zoning regulations and provisions. Others is to correct errors if they're ever found, and we believe that this is one of those instances where there's been an error as a result of a previous severance. What we see is, if we look at the left hand of the page, there's a red square and a green square. When that house, which is shown in the green, was severed from the property, an inadvertent zone occurred where the red area was zoned for that severed dwelling lot, and the A2 zone was placed onto the balance of the property. So the area in green should not be zoned A2, it should be zoned A4. And in this instance too, this farm had two legally established residential dwellings. So when one gets severed off, the remnant farm should be zoned in a manner that the retained dwelling is allowed to legally remain. So what has occurred here is, through the building permit process, the property owners obtained a demolition permit to remove the dwelling, and they desire to establish a new dwelling. And where they're going to establish a new dwelling is towards the north end, towards Crossley Hunter Line. but the A2 zone prohibits that from happening. As council is aware, after a surplus farmhouse severance, the retained farm is to be placed into the restrictive A2 zone so that a subsequent new dwelling isn't established. But as I previously mentioned, this property had already 2 legally established residences as permitted uses, both primary dwellings. So what we're doing here is fixing the zoning and allowing it to proceed so that a new dwelling can be constructed. I won't go into too much further detail. I think I've explained why we're doing this. We try to avoid these errors happening, but they do occur from time to time. I've experienced them in previous municipalities, so they are fortunately uncommon. But what we can advise here that's important is that the property owner is spared the expense of a typical zoning bylaw amendment. This is being processed by the township on behalf of the property owners, actually 2 property owners here, so to allow them to be used for their rightful purposes. So I'll leave it there, Mr. Mayor. If there's any questions from council or those in attendance, I'll be able to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Eric, have you got anything to add to this application?
No, Mr. Mayor, I have nothing more to add.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council, from staff, or Eric? Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe through to Adam. You said they're gonna build or have a property now in Crosley Hunter?
They're not severing a lot, through your worship, they're not severing a lot, they're just establishing a replacement. So they're demolishing the dwelling and building the new dwelling towards the north end.
On Crosley Hunter. Okay. And can that lot be severed too?
And only in accordance with with the counties and townships surplus farm dwelling severance. If I recall, the dwelling needs to be, I can pull up the official plan. I think we have a policy where the dwelling needs to be in existence for a period of time, but I can advise that the owner of the farm have no intention of severing the house. That what they're looking to do is build a new house for themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Adam? None. Mover and second, a public meeting concerning the zoning bylaw amendment application of Daniel and Michael Bogart and J. Grant Burks Limited and John Benjamin Burks, renting the 2 properties located part lot 9, concession 10, former township of South Dorchester, being 50260 and 50264 Lions Line, be adjourned and council reconvene at 7:38. Moving seconder, Serna and Moore, all in favor, carried. And mover and signer report number DS 2225 entitled Housekeeping Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application of Daniel Michael Bogart, J. Grant Burks Limited, and John Burks be received. The housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment application D14 Z05-22 of relating the 2 properties located at part lot 9, concession 10, former township of South Dorchester, being 50260 and 50264 Lions Line, be approved for the reasons set out in this report. Serna and Glinski, all in favor, carried. And finally, moving second, the bylaw number 22-35, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1822, insofar as to relate the property owned by Daniel and Michael Bogart, J. Grant Burks Farms Limited, John Benjamin Burks, located at part lot 9, concession 10, former township of South Dorchester, begin a first, second, third reading, property signed and sealed. Moore, Glinski, all in favor, carried. Okay, we have a committee of adjustment. We were in second, the committee of adjustment, the township of Malahide be called to order. 7:39. And Dave Mennel be appointed chairperson of the committee of adjustment. We were in seconder, Widner, Serna, all in favor. All right, Adam, can you give us, oh, sorry, I think there's something underneath here. No. Adam, can you give us an overview of the application?
Through you, your worship, our consulting planner from Monteith Brown Planning Consultants, Eric Steele, will be handling this application.
Okay. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So before committee tonight is a minor variance application submitted by Zelenka Priamo on behalf of the owners, Joe and Wendy D'Angelo. We're looking to construct a new dwelling on the subject lands that wouldn't meet the required front yard and rear yard setbacks of the zoning bylaw in the Village Residential 1 zone. And so the minor variance application is requesting a reduced minimum front yard setback of 1.6 meters, where section 4.9 of the bylaw would require 2.2 meters. And is also proposing to reduce the minimum rear yard setback of 7.3 meters, where the bylaw would typically require a setback of 7.5 meters. And the reason for this variance as being sought is due to the nature of the subject lot. Its depth is much more shallow compared to other lots in the neighborhood. So for example, the lots to the north and south, as well as this lot, all have much more shallow and wider compared to sort of a typical lot. I believe that the depth is approximately 24.1 meters. And so the intent of the front yard setback is to ensure that establishing a uniform streetscape and provide adequate building separation to the road, ensure the roadway can be maintained and function. The roads department has commented that they have no concerns with the application and wouldn't anticipate any kind of impact as a result of reducing the front yard setback. And would note that while they are seeking a minor variance, the proposed front yard setback would also be in keeping with the properties to both the north and south on the streetscape. And would also, the proposed 1.6 meter setback would be greater than the 1.3 meter setback that currently exists with the property to the south. Regarding the rear yard setback, rear yard setbacks are typically provided to ensure that there's adequate provision of amenity space on a property. And so due to the nature of the lot being more shallow in depth, in this case, there's ample space provided in the southern side yard, approximately 18 meters, that will be able to provide that necessary space on the lot. In addition, I would note that the proposed reduction from 7.5 to 7.3 is not a very significant amount and would still maintain adequate separation to the proposed property line. In this case, there's no anticipated impacts on adjacent properties, and as noted before, the proposed construction would be in keeping compatible with existing dwellings on Superior Street, and would maintain the general intent purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and would be desirable and appropriate for the use of the subject lands. This concludes my presentation at this time. I've had to take questions from members of the committee.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Allison, was there any comments received?
Through your worship, there were comments received from a neighbor with some concerns regarding the proposed house in respect to the type of house, location, privacy, etc. Staff did address their questions, but I believe they are in attendance if they wish to comment further tonight.
So who would that be?
Amanda, give it a shot.
Amanda, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. Did you have some concerns?
Mainly in regards to privacy of the backyard. We are going to be directly behind this new dwelling. We don't know the type of dwelling. We don't know anything about the upcoming property. We really don't know anything. We haven't been informed of anything. So we just would like to know how it's going to affect us, how it's going to affect our property, our water supply, water quality, our privacy, and just our property overall in regards to fencing, trees, etc.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Adam, do you or Eric, any response to Amanda's concerns?
Through you, Mr. Perhaps to start with regarding privacy, I would note that the lot or the subject lot was creation was permitted, I think, by earlier this year. which would permit, that as created as a building lot, and that proposed dwelling is a permitted use under the zoning bylaw. In terms of privacy, the rear yard setback is only proposed to be reduced to 7.3 from 7.5 meters. So we don't anticipate significant impact from what would be typically permitted to be built on the lot as of right. In terms of fencing and so those requirements, I believe there is existing fence currently located on the rear of the property. And so if there were additional concerns of privacy beyond that, the committee would have the ability, could require some form of agreement, require your fence to be maintained along the rear property line, or some form of landscaping provided. But given the minor nature of the proposed variance, we would not anticipate there being significant impacts on the adjacent property.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any of the committee members have any questions regarding this application? Okay, mover and second, report number DS 2226, entitled Application for Minor Variance, Joe and Wendy D'Angelo be received. And the application for minor variance of Joe and Wendy D'Angelo relating to the property located at Plan 78, lots 108 to 110, and being part 2 of 11R 1568 be approved for the reasons set out in herein. Moore and Glinsky, all in favor? Carried. And mover and second, the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Malahide be adjourned and council reconvene at 7:47. Mover and seconder, Serta, Widner, all in favor? Carried. Who's Derek? Is Derek there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sir, you have a presentation for us.
Thank you very much. Good day, your worship and members of council. My name is Derek Richmond. I'm the Ontario Region Coordinator for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to council on expanding service and protecting public post offices. Our Delivering Community Power campaign reimagines our post office to be the hub for rural communities. Using our post office as a community hub that would provide much needed services that are lacking in rural Canada. The community hub model is currently being done in 2 Indigenous communities. These hubs have provided space for nonprofit organizations, an Office Depot kiosk with broadband internet, printer scanner, and photocopiers, so the community like youth, seniors can utilize resources. These hubs can also provide much needed financial services. Currently, there is a pilot project to provide small loans through Canada Post, and it must be extended to meet the needs of rural residents that don't have easy access to financial services. Other services can Canada Post can provide at a community hub is hunting and fishing licenses, space for Service Ontario, tourist information, library vending machines, space for farmer markets and local art. Canada Post has approximately 7,000 locations and could be retrofitted with solar panels and create a secure coast-to-coast network of public charging stations. This charging network would lead to additional tourism to rural Ontario for those who own electric vehicles. Canada Post could also become a leader in providing services to seniors through an elder check-in program. COVID lockdowns have taught us that seniors were the most vulnerable to lockdowns, and letter carrier check-in program can assist seniors that are shut in and provide additional security for seniors to live independently. Canada Post can also provide delivery of food, groceries, and medication to seniors that have a difficult time getting out. Canada Post must lead the way in a carbon-free post office. Currently, Canada Post has approximately 20,000 vehicles on the road daily, and converting the fleet to Canadian manufactured electric vehicles needs to be a priority now to meet the 2050 target emissions. Canada Post must become a leader for a carbon-free delivery. To this date, close to 1,000 municipalities supported resolutions that have been submitted to the federal government on service expansion and postal banking. There are many innovative and forward-thinking ideas for a post-COVID recovery to improve service at Canada Post for rural communities and protecting good-paying jobs. This will enhance our national infrastructure, social communities, and strengthen economical viability of rural communities across Canada. But we still need municipalities like the Township of Malahide to continue to put pressure on the federal government to ensure rural municipalities receive the service they deserve from their public post office. On behalf of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, we ask that the Township of Malahide endorse the Delivering Community Power Resolution to support, retain, enhance, and expand rural post offices. Thank you for your time and support. I'm willing to answer any questions or concerns council might have.
Okay, thank you, Derek, for that presentation. And certainly I agree with you. A lot of the small towns still have post office, but they don't have financial institutions. And that would be a nice, and it would be an enhancement for some of the small towns. So certainly I agree with you. We do have that also under correspondence. So what we'll do tonight, we'll receive it. And then when we have correspondence, that we'll give the council the option of endorsing it or not. But we'll give
Thank you very.
we'll give council an
Oh, sorry,
option
that
in
was-
case they have questions for you. And Matt?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These rural post offices, I'm thinking of Springfield, I'm thinking of Belmont. I do believe there's one in Brownsville. You get banking facilities in there. How are they going to be protected from vandalism, robberies, et cetera, et cetera?
Derek, have you got an answer for that?
Well, I know that we have partnered with TD Canada Trust in some of these financial services already. So I would expect behind the scenes that type of security would be set in place. We do know that we would train our postal workers in that safety and security as well. It's a bank, but yes, so we would be highly trained in protecting that service.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Any other questions for Derek? Rick?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Derek. How much profit does Canada Post make in a year? Because I'm reading what and listening to what you're saying, and it's quite ambitious. Some of it is repetitive, like drug. You were talking about drug delivery and stuff like that. Rural pharmacies already do that. So I see a little bit of repetition there, but I just need to know how much money Canada Post makes in a year profit.
Last quarter, the Canada Post Corporation lost 129 million from the first quarter of last year. A lot of that has to do with COVID, the problems around COVID, but some of the ideas that we're putting forward to create revenue for the post office is expanding service.
But a lot of these services already are available through the internet. And now you want to put car chargers there and for electric vehicles and things like that. Like if you're losing $129 million and we are in a dire situation now with COVID and the debt that the government has brought upon itself, I think last year's deficit was over $338 billion. It's not a time, as far as I'm concerned, to go to the government to ask them to spend even more money. We should be going the other way and trying to tighten our belts a little bit.
Just one thing, so you know, Canada Post is self-sufficient and it doesn't rely on government funding at all. It's a crown corporation. It's an independent crown corporation at arm's length from the government. So it relies on its own funding to build these revenue tools up and their own infrastructure. So again, they don't use public money for these services.
But you are asking us to pressure the federal government to.
We are. They are
funding.
at arm's length. They are at arm's length, but they can mandate Canada Post to provide additional services, not paid for by the government. It's through a mandate review of the post office. So the government has that right to put in additional services, but Canada Post would have to pay those services.
But you lost $129 million last year.
Yes,
So
yes.
you're,
and-
you're
and with-
asking the government to mandate you to spend more money. I'm lost in this whole thing. Like I would
To
never,
provide additional revenue. So postal banking in some countries have made profits of up to $100 million from banking services. The community hub model is bringing back small businesses and the community back into the post office to utilize these services, to spend, to bring tourists back in, to go into a post office and spend. That's the idea of the community hub, is to bring service back. And the seniors check-in program, another program where we could utilize our resources who already go to the house every day, or houses, to bring additional services to them as well.
okay, well, you'll have to show me that works. And as far as checking on the elderly, my mother's 93. I call her every day. And if she answers the phone, I know I'm good for the day. If she doesn't answer the phone, I start to worry. And that's a check-in service that I provide. Thank you.
Mark, you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to Derek. Derek, like some of your ideas are pretty innovative, and someone could work certainly. Have you done a business plan? And if you have, what are you seeing with the business plan?
I'm just the coordinator for the campaign that we're providing with the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. We have been pressuring the corporation and the federal government to start bringing in these services. Any financial plan is done through the corporation. Like they're doing these pilot projects now for community hubs. And they're bringing these pilot projects in for the My Money loan projects. And they're starting to electrify the fleet, and they're starting to bring in charging stations. So they're starting to bring in our campaign slowly. But we see the need for a lot more need for it in rural communities, but I don't have any financial reports regarding any kind of successes or costs around it.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Any other questions for Derek? Seeing none, mover and seconder. The presentation from Derek Richmond, Ontario Regional Coordinator of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers regarding expanding services and protecting public post offices be received. Mover and Glinsky, all in favor, carried. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
All right, Matt, you're up next with the road needs study.
Yes, good evening, Your Worship and Council. My first report this evening, staff are bringing forward the 2021 road needs study, which Council has already prior received the presentation of the report's technical undertaking on March 17th from the report author, Dave Anderson, who is the president of Four Roads Management. This report has served heavily in allowing the township to move forward with asset management initiatives required by provincial regulation. The asset management plan considers the like-for-like life cycle degradation of assets. This allows for advising of various operational and capital planning to ensure the average road condition throughout the township aligns with the expected service level. So staff are pleased with this report, which accommodates all the deliverables required by regulations shown in the executive summary. I won't go through the entirety of the report, but rather advise at a high level that the undertaking did accommodate field review and condition ratings of all township roads, developing replacement costs based on current market rates, recommendations for improvement, and timelines to allow asset management development, and advising of annual budgets for a 10-year work plan, and providing updated geodatabase to assist with asset management initiatives to serve as long-term guidance for the road degradation. So at this time, staff are seeking adoption of the report to accommodate implementation into the core asset management plan. To note, the direct adoption of this report does not dictate what maintenance capital projects are undertaken, but only allows for appropriate financial planning. Those annual considerations are still to be brought forward by the budget committee. I can be happy to answer any questions council has.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Questions for Matt on this report? Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Matt. I lived on Carter Road for quite a long time. My grandparents had a farm there since 1938. Where the hell is the Carter Road Bridge? I've never seen it.
The bridge, are you referring to the RFP? For that was undertaken from the OSIM inspection?
Well, you gotta go north of number 3, Rick.
I do once in a while, yeah, but how far north?
Exact
That,
location?
that structure is just south of Pressy Line.
It's there, Rick.
I believe you. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's not a big one.
You know what the bridge is? You have to take me and show me.
Yeah. All you gotta do is get in your car and go north, Rick. Any other questions for Matt? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to Matt. Matt, after you're looking at the report, are you satisfied that the financial end of this is good enough? Because I think this winter was pretty hard on some of our roads, like start driving things slowly up and down the roads. We're losing roads quicker than I think we should be, but that's nobody's fault. I think the winter was tough on everything. So do we have enough money projected for these repairs, or should we be projecting more money?
So the thing about these reports is they are a static inspection. So these inspections took place in 2021. So they're only as good as the time that the drive-by happened. Fortunately, the asset management regulations require that the condition assessments be no less than 2 years old. So that's as dynamic as these inspections can get, that every 2 years we'll get updated figures, updated construction estimates, updated inspections. So we can plan for, like you said, these heavy winters, things like that. So at the current time, the asset management plan would be developed based on the figures in this report. But then every annual budget cycle, we can see further from a staff perspective if there's additional needs for the upcoming year or projected for longer terms. So staff are satisfied with this report as it sits for current inspections from the date of the inspections being 2021, which allows a long-term projection, but then they can be revised over annual budget cycles.
Good. Any other questions for Matt? Moving to second report number PW 2234 entitled 2021 Road Needs Study be received. Council will adopt the 2021 State of the Infrastructure and Asset Management Plan for the roads. Report prepared by 4 Roads Management Services. The staff be directed to utilize the above noted report to inform long-term asset management recommendations on the township's road network. Whitner and Glinsky, all in favor? Carried. And Matt, you're doing the McGinnis drain?
Yes, through you, your worship. The township has received a request for improvement from an assessed landowner on the McGinnis drain due to a recent failure of private infrastructure relating to a pond which intersects this existing drain. The staff are recommending that Spree Associates be appointed to prepare the required engineer's report for this petition.
Okay, questions for Matt? Seeing none, moving to second report number PW 2241 entitled Request for Improvement McGinnis Drain be received. Then Mike DeVos, professional engineer, Speech Associate, be appointed to prepare an engineer's report for this petition. Linsky and Moore, all in favor? Carried. And next we have the Police College Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes, through you, your worship. This report advises on consideration presented to staff from the OPC who requires secondary consideration for their kitchen facilities if for some unforeseen circumstance they lose temporary use of their kitchen. Having consulted with OPC staff, we can confirm that by entering into a memorandum of understanding for use of the kitchen at MCP, it would not overtake an existing renter in a scheduling conflict scenario. And also the standard bill out rates would still apply to the OPC for such contingent use. So there'd be no negative operational impact to be incurred by the township, and staff recommending accommodating such an agreement.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Questions for Matt on this one? Seeing none, mover and second report number PW 2237 entitled Ontario Police College Memorandum of Understanding for kitchen use be received. Township Malahide Council directs the facilities manager enter a memorandum of understanding with the Ontario Police College for contingent use of the Malahide Community Place kitchen facilities. Serna and Winder, all in favor? Carried. And Springfield banner request.
Yes, through you, your worship, the Honor Our Veterans Committee in Springfield did bring forward a request to council to place banners on the existing hydro poles within Springfield, or alternatively install poles in Senatop Park. So quotes were obtained to consider both proposals, and as shown in the report, installation on the existing hydro poles is more cost effective and is allowable by Hydro One, providing an approved contractor does undertake the work. Staff have consulted with the volunteer group to agree on various use of the brackets that hold the banners on the Hydro One poles. So these brackets will be made available to the township for use outside of the Remembrance Day period, if so desired. The township use of the banners would be at the cost of the township for potential economic development opportunities and save the volunteer group the $400 contractor cost for removal of their flags after Remembrance Day. If the township does not have the need for banner installation to our own benefit, the removal cost would be the responsibility of the volunteer group. I can confirm that the group was consulted on these recommendations and understand the cost sharing component. So staff are recommending to allow the project to proceed.
Okay, thanks, Matt. And my understanding is the committee are absorbing all the costs involved, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Questions for Matt? No. Oh, Jess?
Mayor Manel, on page 258, see a cost of $5,518 to place the flags on the hydro posts. Are they aware that the cost is that high? Or are they just looking at the bare minimum?
Matt?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the group is aware of these costs. This exact sheet was shared with the group, so it's been broken down by what costs relate to materials and which costs relate to the installation. So those that $5,518 is a summation of all the pieces that are required by the group for installation.
Any other questions for Matt? Seeing none. Mover and second report number PW 2231 entitled Springfield banner request be received. And the council accept the recommendation from staff to proceed with this project based on the installation of the brackets, banners on the hydro poles on Ron McNeil line. That municipal staff be directed to work with the Honor Our Veterans Committee on the installation of the brackets and banners. Mover and Winder, all in favor? Carried. And one more, the Carter Road Bridge.
Through you, your worship, the Ontario structure inspections undertaken in 2020 downgraded the Carter Road structure from expecting intervention in more than 10 years, which was identified in 2018, to requiring intervention within 1 to 5 years. This strong downgrading allowed staff to respond by accommodating appropriate budget to undertake an engineering review of the structure to advise of rehab undertakings to increase the life rather than considering a reconstruction scenario. As noted in the report, Valley Engineers of Simcoe are the preferred consultant to undertake the work, which followed a 2-envelope proposal review. The project undertaking exceeds the 2022 budgeted amount by around $400, and being considered minor in nature, staff do recommend this project is awarded to Valley.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Any questions for Matt on this one? Chess?
Mayor Manel, are we looking at this consulting firm just telling us what has to be done, or are we looking at them actually doing the work as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is the design component of the project, so will review the structure and prepare design drawings which would be tendered out to a contractor. There was an estimated value that's included in future budget, which was in the range of $150,000 for the actual construction component for the rehab solution, and that was based on a high level overview from the OSIM consultant. This is a deeper investigation to provide a perfect scenario to ensure the longevity of the structure.
Any other questions, Max?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Councillor Cerna. That bridge is approximately halfway between Prusy Line and College Line down in Mennonite country.
Is that the one that's got the hydrant beside it?
Pond in beside it and the.
A pond and
On
there's
the
a
corner,
hydrant.
they make gazebos then the
Yeah, country
Mennonites.
gazebos.
That's.
Well, to me, that's not a bridge, that's a culvert.
No, it's
Oh,
just,
it's a mighty
it's a
big
cement
culvert.
establishment, right? It's not steel, it's cement.
Who's our representative on Catfish Creek?
Yeah,
Go east then. Just east of Brownsville, Catfish Creek starts.
right.
It ganders its way up through. Time you get up to Carter Road, it's quite a sized creek. And you follow it on through to.
Well, I've been over that bridge 1,000 times and I never considered it a bridge.
Well, now you're informed,
Now
so.
I know, so if they can find it, they can fix it.
No disrespect, but take the second one.
I will.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Matt, now that we know exactly where this bridge is? Seeing none. Moving seconder, PW 2240 entitled RFP Results Carter Road Bridge Rehabilitation Request for the proposal be received. The proposal for the Carter Road Bridge Rehabilitation awarded to Valley Construction Engineers, Architectures and Planners of Simcoe in the amount of $24,955.70 plus HST. Mayor Clerk be authorized to enter an agreement with Valley Consulting Engineers, Architects and Planners for the purpose of completing the Carter Road Bridge rehabilitation. Cerna and Moore, all in favor, carried.
Mayor Manel, I did have a question about it.
Oh, go ahead, Jess.
And the question simply is that here it says an RFP result for the Carter Bridge rehabilitation request or proposal. It almost sounds like it should be rehabilitated from this statement, not just having an engineer come in and say what you have to do.
Matt?
Through your worship, prior to understanding what exactly the scope of work is required to rehabilitate the structure, an engineer is required to look at it, come up with that design component. Being such a strong downgrading of the structure on such a short time frame, we did have the OSIM consultant have a second look at it to ensure that it wasn't at immediate risk of collapse, which we revised it was not, but it needed intervention immediately in order to ensure longevity and decrease the constant degradation of the structure. So that's why we proposed this method per the OSIM consultant's recommendation that an engineer undertake a design component of it so that a construction ability can occur.
Okay. What next we got? Oh, sorry, Matt or Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Lewis asked if I could bring this up. The Elmer Fair Board, have they got a hold of you yet? Matt, I guess they would like to have the use of one of our road graders to prepare the track for the tractor pull. They haven't had one in 2 or 3 years, I guess, because of the COVID. I don't know if they're really sure of the way that this would go, but according to Adam, and he helped me out today, that we could just bill them and they could apply for a grant back and get their money back or part of it in the future. So if we can have a representative or somebody reach out to them to see if that could, I think you want to do it fairly quickly, so. Anyway, that'd be council's wish, we'll like to see us proceed with that. Thank you.
Rick?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Do we not have a contingency fund? And we could give out donations if there's money left over for a situation just like this?
Adam?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a contingency fund. We're still working through the 2021 financial results with the auditor. And as you may recall, when we dealt with Harvest Bowl, we did have a surplus in community grants. So my recommendation would be when that final 2021 financial results report comes forward, I expect about I think now accounting for Harvest Bowl, we'd have about $12,000 of last year's funds unspent. We'll just use that to apply against this request when it comes forward.
Okay, thank you.
there's a blank here on the amount. Have you any idea what the estimated cost that it might be, Matt?
An exact scope of work hasn't been sent to me as of yet. To figure what the township's direct cost to supply a road grader for about 4 hours would be about $700. But I don't have a scope of work of exactly what they're looking for.
Okay.
So in the model that Councilor Widner's brought forward, we could invoice whatever charge out rates are required, and then the group could request the funds.
So
be
if we
returned.
put a ceiling of $1,000, that would cover it?
That could cover it unless there was additional compensation and additional work that wanted to be undertaken. Or we could just simply advise that we can provide the service and we will charge out as we typically do. And at a later time, the Fair Board would come back and seek relief without putting a ceiling on that rate.
Okay, what's your suggestion,
You
Allison?
don't need a resolution for that option at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll just leave it blank and the amount blank, and we'll just bill them accordingly when account we get it.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving to the request from the Elmer Fair Board be supported, the township grant for the required maintenance work of the track be provided. Winder, Serta, all in favor? And Allison, you're doing the establishment of the joint compliance audit?
Yes, through your worship, this is a standard report required by the Municipal Elections Act that a compliance audit committee be established prior to October 1st of an election year. This committee is established to deal with matters of election campaign finances and contributions. There are efficiencies with creating joint compliance audit committees, and as you will remember, Elgin County municipalities created a joint committee for the 2018 election and are seeking approval to do so again for 2022. The town of Elmer has taken the lead in organizing this committee for Elgin municipalities. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Allison. Questions for Allison on the compliance committee? Go ahead, Jess.
Mayor Manel, on page 263, it is recommended that $100 per member per meeting plus mileage. And if we look at page 268, number 8, they're talking about the honorarium going to $125 per hour plus the transportation and so on. So which is it?
So yes, that was an error. The town of Elmer did decide to increase it to $125 honorarium. Since it has been $100 in previous years, they thought they would increase it to $125.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Allison? Yeah, mover and seconder, report clerk 22-07 entitled 2022 Municipal Election Establishment. A joint compliance audit committee be received for information. Council consider giving 3 readings to the bylaw establishing an election joint compliance audit committee for the 2022 municipal election in accordance with the Municipal Election Act 1996 as amended. Moving seconder. Serna, Binsky, all in favor, carried. And Adam, you're doing the next one on Working for Workers Act.
Yes, thank you, your worship. Bringing this report forward due to legislation passed by the province in December of last year. What this report seeks to do is respect employees' work-life balance. So what I've done is provide, or what Gwen has done in this report is provided the intent and purpose of this new disconnecting from work policy. I can add that not only the Elgin County Council has recently passed a very similar policy, and other municipalities across both Elgin and the rest of the province are adopting policies as well. One thing to note is that municipalities are required to have such a policy in place on or before June 2nd of 2022, which is tonight. So nothing further to add to my report, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Questions for Adam on this one? Jess?
Mayor Manel, I understand what this disconnect business is from your work, because in some cases, the companies would have you working 16, 18 hours a day. However, from our perspective, this disconnect from work, how will this affect our council meetings and other after hours meetings, since that is over and above the regular working hours?
Adam?
Certainly through you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight's meeting is part of Allison, myself, Jeff, Adam, and Matt's job descriptions and others. So our job descriptions, what's considered normal for any given role or responsibility within the job descriptions, those aren't changing. So you know, we're expected to be here this evening. So it's not, this policy doesn't mean that it's before 8:30 and after 4:30, staff aren't to be contacted. That is not the intention of the policy at all. So there are roles and expectations, normal responsibilities and expectations. Every job description is different. Take, for instance, public works or volunteer firefighters or the chief spoor, myself. If something is urgent, time sensitive, or an emergency, and we're not at a, you know, it's outside of work hours or, you know, a scheduled evening meeting or anything like that, that certainly would, the policy still allows contacts to occur. And so I hope that answers your question.
Okay, just Rick?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. To me, this legislation doesn't need to be brought forward because I don't call any of these people, and I'm sure that they can vouch for that, that I just to sit and visit. When the workday is done, the workday is done. Also is the fact that when I asked for this job from the voters of Malahide, I realized it was a 7-day-a-week job with no hours. Call me when you want, present your problem, I'll be there for you. Now, and no offense to any of them, our employees, before I get too far away here. I think we've got a stellar work staff. I can't say enough good about them. When you think about it, there's 168 hours a week, 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you sleep 8 hours a day, that's 56 hours. If you work a 35-hour work week, that comes to 91 total hours for sleep and work. So if you take the total of hours in a week minus the 91, that still leaves you 77 hours. Is that not enough time to disconnect from work? And if I talk to somebody for an hour, that's still 76 hours a week. This legislation doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It is, I can't follow it.
Well, I think it's directed more for staff than it is for council, and I agree with this. I think that staff needs to be away from their phones. I mean, certainly in emergencies, they're always on call. But for something that is an issue on Friday that can wait till Monday, I think that they should be allowed to shut down on the weekends and not have to worry about answering phone calls.
I agree with you, Mayor, but the thing is, we have the common sense. If I have an issue that I know can wait till Monday, I'll wait till Monday. But if I need to know a result now, I want a result now. You know, and that's just the way it goes. And I think that everybody should be aware that I don't think we make frivolous calls. And we're supposed to serve the public, which we all said we would do. And I just don't understand this legislation from the government at all.
Well, unfortunately, the rule covers everybody that's not reasonable. And there are some unreasonable people that would phone you at midnight saying the dog is barking next door, and Max is probably well aware of that one. Mark, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One part of this I don't agree with is it has to be 25 people or more on staff. Well, if you have a smaller municipality without 25 people, they don't have the same benefit as we would, right? I don't think that's fair. And you know what, if you're a smaller business, say you have 20 people, they, it's gonna be harder on them. So I don't think it covers enough. I don't think it's fair enough. I understand what it's about, and I don't think anybody here abuses it. But if you want to send somebody a text, just say, look after it whenever, and can you look at this? Is that gonna be allowed too, or no? 10 o'clock at night, I find a great big hole in the road.
Through here, so the intent of the policy is that discretion is given. So if it's an urgent, if the pothole on the road is going to cause significant vehicular damage, I would suspect that our road staff, myself or Matt would warrant communication. If it's something minor that can wait till the morning, that could be something that waits till the morning.
Right, the only reason I may report it is if somebody, I know about it, somebody. Motorcycle, something crashes overnight, then I didn't report it, so I'm liable, so. Just have to be careful with it, that's all.
Certainly, I think any road, if there's a significant road issue that I would, I don't have the policy in front of me right now to come through it for this specific scenario, but I think that is something that, if it causes any traffic or road travel hazards, that's something that our road staff would want to know as soon as possible.
Rick, you have another
No,
question?
I just wanted to comment on what I just heard, that, if it's urgent, you call. If it's not urgent, you wait. And I believe that's what we do now. And that, again, too, we don't need legislation to tell us something that we're already doing.
But once
So-
again, Rick, this is not applying just to us. This is applying to everybody.
I know, but that's half the problem with Toronto. They make one rule, blanket the entire province, and it doesn't really apply to us. It might apply to Toronto or Hamilton or something, but does not apply to us. So anyways, that's all I gotta say. I know, I'm not gonna call up if a branch is on the road, but if a tree's there, I might make the phone call.
Okay, fair enough. Any other questions for Adam? This is required legislation, is it not, Adam?
Yes, it is. Today's the deadline to pass the policy.
Yeah, so.
What if we don't?
Sorry, I can't hear Mark. Your mic was off there.
That's probably a good thing, but I said, what if we don't pass it? What are they gonna do?
Yeah. OPP will be knocking on your door in the morning if we don't.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay, Wilbur and Sandra, report number HR 2204, entitled Bill 27, Working for Workers Act 2021, disconnecting from work be received. The HR policy B.35, disconnecting from work be approved. Glinsky and Moore, all in favor, opposed, carried. Next we have reports outside Boris correspondence. The one item on correspondence is number 6 that was previously received from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, and certainly I agree with the aspect of having a financial institution in some of the small towns. I think they might have lofty goals in some of their endeavors, but that one certainly I agree with, and I'd be willing to endorse that one. I don't see any issues. Adam?
Yes, what I might suggest, and I think that there were some very warranted questions posed by council to the individual this evening. What I might suggest is council may support the union's ideas in principle, but maybe not go the full way, but just some food for thought on that one. Supporting in principle the ideas.
Okay, certainly I can agree with that one. Everybody's nodding. And number 7 is the town of Elmer. This is the fundraising challenge with Elmer Malahide Museum. Our budget is set for 22, so I'm going to suggest that certainly, we've got a part of the player in this game, and certainly, but I think we need to turn that over to our 2023 budget and see what we can do with the fundraising. So everyone in agreement with that? We'll just answer that one. Anything else other than those two? Jess?
Mayor Manel, number 4, Shania funding for rural and northern schools. If you take a real close look at that, there are a lot of points made that pertain to our situation with the Springfield School and what it would mean if the school board closed the Springfield School, what it would mean to the village. And they spelled that out quite clearly in their statements. So only thing I'm saying is maybe have another look at this and file away some of the points that you could use to instill the school board to keep the Springfield School open, and what the drawbacks would be if the school did close.
So are you suggesting we support number 4?
I'm suggesting that we support.
Okay. Anything else? Got support for 4, 6, and 7. Receive and file the balance. Mover and seconder, Mover. Widner, all in favor? Carried. And other business, there's a request from the Springfield Family Fun Day for they have an event on June the 18th. Any issues with that? Max, have you got any comments on that one? I mean, we've done this they didn't have it last year, did they? No, 2 years yeah. So finally we got COVID in the rearview mirror, so hopefully we're gonna have a good turnout for that. So mover and seconder that 2022 Springfield Family Fun Day event be held on June 18th, 2022 in Springfield be supported. And that recognition of the community benefits, the municipal staff be authorized and directed to confirm affiliated municipal group liability insurance coverage for the Springfield Family Fun Day events and organizing committee. Serta and Blinsky, all in favor? Carried. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
We're done with the new business other than this, so. I was reading in the Elmer paper and I've discussed a bit with you about the Amish area. There's changes to with the county. They're not happy with the way things are. I don't understand why they have to have these changes now. They've been this way for 20 years. We fought long and hard to get these in place. I don't know why they're playing with them now, but maybe you can explain that and why we've ordered in the county.
Well, since 1980, the province and the county have both stated that minimum farm size is 100 acres. We've stated that, especially with our Amish community, it can be less than that, 50. And I know that we've had a number of times where the Amish have come in here with a splitting a farm in two, and we have endorsed it, sent it to the land division, and the land division passed it, and the province never objected to it. So they're not changing their policy, but they're not objecting to it. So I think that system will carry on in the future.
You don't foresee any changes?
Adam has. I think Adam can.
Adam, have you comment?
So thank you, Your Worship. The county wasn't changing anything. The Township of Malad, so council recently adopted a 5-year official plan review. Monteith Brown worked through, I think it started in 2018 or 2019. Obviously COVID had some hiccups, but it got adopted earlier this year and sent to the county. So the county is the final approval authority for local official plan amendments. Monteith Brown had one recommended policy, and that was sort of to write in or to solidify that the allowance for undersized farm parcels for the Amish community, the horse-drawn community there. So we use it for, farm technology and transportation. The county spoke with the province, and this has been tried in other municipalities. It was tried where I worked before in Perth County. The PPS, there has been case law where municipalities have gone to planning tribunals to defend, and it's been so that the province is referred to case law where because what they're concerned about is allowing a certain minimum farm parcel size for an identified religious group, but for everyone else it's a larger size. So they don't want to be doing that, and they relied upon case law. What I can add though our zoning bylaw, so the township of Malahide zoning bylaw, which isn't changing, does have a minimum farm parcel size of 50 acres. So that's not changing. If someone is splitting a lot, the policy still allow, as of today, a 50-acre severance, and that's and it's common in our area. So the provincial policy statements, the PPS that we always hear about, doesn't specify a minimum farm parcel size, but is very general. It talks about farm parcel size that are common in the area. So there are planning arguments that can be made if someone from the horse-drawn community is looking to split a farm and have a smaller farm property size. There's planning arguments can be made to suggest that a 50-acre or something around that size is appropriate, notwithstanding. What the province does not want to see is that it's written into our official plan document that we're allowing it for the horse-drawn community, but for everyone else, they have to maintain the 100-acre standard. So I hope that's clear.
Adam, there's 3 possible recommendations. Which one are you endorsing?
Okay, sorry, I could have added to that. So one option is that we, council receive the notice, and from a planning perspective, I'm not too concerned with what the county decided. If there is, like I just previously mentioned, if someone is determined to split a farm parcel, they can go through a site-specific official plan amendment. So option number 1 is to receive the notice and take no further action. The rest of the official plan will be adopted as per Malahide Council approval of the document earlier this year, and life will carry on. A second option is that we receive the notice and that Malahide Council ask the county council to reconsider that option. A third option would be to direct staff or myself to come back with further detailed information at the next council meeting. But if you want me to explain any of those options further, I can certainly do so. Number 2, we'll simply ask the county to potentially reconsider. But as I might remind, the province and the PPS is quite clear and what is intended. I don't think they are opposed to what we want to do in principle. They just don't want us writing it into policy.
All right, is that crystal clear? Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I've always heard over the years, Adam, is the province and the policy statement. They hold this big hammer over your head, but they never seem to do anything. I've known several people that were on land division. The province never seems to comment. Is that what you always found?
I'm starting to see it a little bit. I've seen instances where what the province used to be very active in local land use planning. The province used to be the approval authority for subdivisions, official plan amendments, those sorts of things. What they've done is downloaded those responsibilities onto upper tier governments or single tier municipalities, like City of St. Thomas or the County of Elgin, where there's a 2-tier system. The province tries hard not to get itself involved with local planning matters, but if there's some glaring issues where it flies in the face of provincial policy, whether it's lot creation in the agricultural area where it's outside of a settlement area, as an example, I've seen examples where the province is starting to not so much drop the hammer, but perhaps maybe knock on the door and maybe give a gentle reminder that an approval or consideration isn't in conformity or align with their policies.
Okay, so you're satisfied that the existing official plan will protect our Amish community?
From a planning perspective, I'm satisfied. I think our zoning bylaw still allows a minimum 50-acre parcel creation. And in the absence of that, if like I said before, if as an example, if the Amish want to create a 50-acre parcel in an area where it's common, they can go through a process. So if it's beneath 50 acres. One thing I'd like to add, though, also is the county is going through its own county official plan review process. And it might be wise for Malahide Township Council to advise the county of, to sort of to protect the ability for the horse-drawn community to create parcels of a certain size.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Adam seems to be satisfied that we're protected. So moving the second of the notice of decision dated June 1st, 2022 from the county of Elgin for the Manawai official plan amendment number 20 be received. Winder,
I just have a question. I'd like to see the county, at least we could tell them we're not maybe 100% satisfied with it. I don't think it's gonna do any good. But we're the only ones in Elgin that have an Amish community this size, I believe, right?
well, Bayham's got a fair amount, but I think we're probably the largest one. in
Yeah,
Elgin
I just
County.
think we should try anything we could do to protect that, but that's my opinion.
What I might offer is if we were to take a 5-minute recess, Allison and I could draft a possible resolution in that regard.
Well,
If council's-
is a resolution to reconsider, so that would do the same thing, right?
Well, I through you, I think what Councillor Widner is speaking to is something in between the first one, simply receiving it, and maybe asking it to reconsider. I think and Councillor Widner can correct me if I'm wrong, but simply just sort of making a statement that we're not 100% satisfied with council's county council's decision to remove that policy.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I agree.
Okay, so that would be option number B, right? Asking to reconsider.
No.
No?
He wants to
No.
recess. So we have a mover and seconder to recess to do that. Take a 5-minute recess to create that.
All right, so you're gonna draft something up?
So we just need a mover and seconder to take a 5-minute recess to draft that up.
Okay. So moved by Winder, second by Serna, to have a 5-minute recess, and Allison's gonna wordsmith this down.
We've never had a recess. One play? No, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, I suppose I should read it because this is new information. All right, mover and seconder, that the notice of decision dated June 1st, 2022 in the county of Elgin, Malahide official plan amendment be received. And that given the township of Malahide is a visible and concentrated rural community which relies on horsepower technology for farming, the council for the township of Malahide hereby requests county of Elgin respect the farming practices of this community and continue to allow the possibility to create smaller farm properties, provided the size remains appropriate and sufficiently large enough to maintain flexibility for future changes in the type of size of agriculture operations. And that provided the county of Elgin can continue to respect the farming practices of this community, council of the township of Malahide does not object to the modification by the county to its removal of section 5 of the Malahide official plan amendment number 20, being an amendment to the section 2.16 of the Malahide official plan.
Just one typo you got in the last paragraph. You got the count of Elgin? Who's that guy? The county.
Through you, your worship, correct. There is so the county, not the count.
That's fine.
Okay. Mover and seconder, Widner, Serta, all in favor, carried. There is a request from Southwestern Public Health. They want to have another vaccination clinic at the Malahide Community Place, and I'm suggesting that we waive the fee because this is a community event and benefits the community at large. So
Absolutely.
if everybody's in favor of that, we'll put that option forward.
Yep.
Okay,
If I can add there as well.
go ahead, Matt.
Through your worship, supplemental to this request, I was advised at 4:30 this afternoon that Southwest Public Health has filled the indoor clinic vacancy for that date, but still appreciates this consideration in case there is need to host additional clinics. I just wanted to add that in.
Okay,
Oh,
God knows what's around the corner. So
oh, yeah.
mover and second, the question of Southwest Public Health for the use of the Malahide Community Place for vaccination clinics be received and the facility rental fee for the vaccination clinic be waived. Serta, mover, all in favor, carried. No bylaws? No bylaws?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
I got a couple of things I'd like to bring up
Go ahead, Rick.
under new business. I see the county's kibosh, the sign that we wanted to post in Springfield. Now, what is the reason behind that? And if we can't put a sign up there, what is your solution to
Well-
stopping it?
Well, the concern was the county is there's no provision to enforce it. You can have a sign, but there's nothing under the Highway Traffic Act where they can enforce a truck, setting down in their gears. And so they said it's kind of futile to put a sign up if they can't enforce it. But I do know that we did have a sign in Summers Corners for a number of years. I don't think it's there anymore, but it was there. Whether it did any good or not, I don't know.
Online, we went through the deal then where they said there is no, nothing on the highway traffic act, but the individual wants to put their own up. The individual did Alliance and stuck it on the signs out there. The county had to take it down.
Sorry, through you, it's Adam here. Mark, can you turn your mic on, please?
Didn't want you to do it. Yes, we ran into this a few years ago, and Rob Johnson was here and he looked into it and there was really no sign that's legal. So we told the gentleman in line, you can have your own sign. So we did. He had a beautiful sign created, looked all nice and everything. And he stuck it on one of the highway or the road signs out there. And he saw the county, or he saw us take it down. He blamed us for it, but the county wanted it off of there, which I was surprised. But, so we could, I don't know, we could still put them up. If you can get it on private property, I guess.
I'm sure you'd find a lot of people willing to donate
Yeah.
place for a sign, and if we can give them the sign, then, we might look at it that way then.
Certainly it's an option.
Okay, I'm not done yet.
Oh, you got another one.
Yeah, we were gonna put no parking signs up at Summers Corners by that taco stand. And there's no signs there yet. Now, I got a picture on my cell phone that somebody sent me where a big tractor trailer's parked there at the corner. And it's, we need to put a no parking sign up there. And we, as a council, approved it, and we're still waiting. So I don't know why the county's dragging its feet on that. Like, this happened almost a year ago. So can you bring me up to date on to what's happening to those no parking signs, or please?
Yes, through you, your worship, that report did go some time ago. That was referred to the county, and there's been some coordination with the county since then, and some correspondence received from the community in that area regarding those signs. So all this correspondence is being put back together to come back to Township Council for further consideration with the various petitions, those for and against no parking there. So staff did receive direction from council to coordinate with the county on this issue. So there's still coordination happening back and forth and with the community for further consultation that will come back to council prior to a signage being put in place and the bylaw being revised.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and this is through to Mr. Sporer and the fire department. The fireworks display down there was absolutely great. And I've never seen so many cars in Port Bruce. You couldn't find a spot in the park. Good thing the bylaw guy wasn't there, I'll tell you that. But no, it was amazing and good job to everybody involved. It was a beautiful night and I think everybody just wanted to go see something. And they did. So I don't know how many people they had there, but it was a lot.
Yeah, they had a good show and like I said, there was a lot of cars there, so
Oh, I know. I had to park over by the trailer park, so. I was lucky.
was it why the no parking sign?
No, it was gone at that time. Thank you.
Anything else under new business? No bylaws, no closed session. Mover and signer bylaw number 22-38, the confirmatory bylaw, be given the first, second, third reading and properly signed and sealed. Serna, mover, all in favor, opposed, carried. Mover and seconder, council adjourned at 8:59. To meet again on June 16th at 7:30. Blinsky and Widner, all in favor, carried. Pardon me? I could see it from our place.